my little reading corner today for the first episode of Historical Fiction Sunday. Every Sunday I will upload a video talking about one historical fiction book. For those who, it goes for people who want to get into historical fiction but they don't know where to start, or if you already love reading historical fiction and you probably have never heard of a book that I've read and think I'll give it a go, or if it's a book that you want to learn more about that event in history and you don't know where to look, because there are a lot of ones about World War II. I've tried to branch out and find other historical fiction books that are not just about World War II. The first book I'm going to talk about is a recent read by an author I really love, because she writes her characters so well. You get to love them throughout the story, and then usually Kristin Hannah kind of does kill someone off in a book that I have read 3 of hers, and loved characters do get killed off, and it's quite upsetting, but that is the reality of history and life to do with those periods. And it's The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. This follows Elsie in the 1930s, where she meets a man and unexpectedly gets pregnant by this guy and gets exiled from her family. They take her to the farm of her boyfriend. They don't want to know her, so she ends up living on the farm, getting married, and then later on having another child, a little boy. So she has a boy and a girl and a boy. And her daily is helping out, learning how to be a farmhand and how to grow and harvest and everything. And then obviously it's during the period where the Dust Bowls start. Now, I know nothing about the Dust Bowls when I started reading this. I've heard of it, but the more I read this, the more I learnt, which is what I love about Kristin Hannah books. You learn from these books about historical timeline places. The dad, I can't remember his name. He ends up, they think, going to California, where a lot of people who are during the Dust Bowls leave to get a better life, because the Dust Bowls are just destroying farmland and they can't survive, and the health of children deteriorates because they get this really bad cough and things. So he just disappears one day without a word, and she never hears from him again. Eventually Elsa decides we need to leave, but her father and mother-in-law can't leave the farm because it's a family farm. They don't want to leave, so she takes the children to California, where they find the struggles of the reality of it's not all glamorous. It's not really a better life, because the people in California don't want to hire them because they think they're thieves, and you know, it just makes their life very hard for them, because they're camping out in tents and their camp actually gets destroyed because there are hundreds of people who have flocked to California to find jobs, and they have to be like first to the farm when it's harvest season, or else they don't get a job, and they have very little food, and the clothes are getting really tatty, which makes it even more difficult for them. Elsa actually happens to make a good friendship with the family. Her daughter doesn't like her after the dad left, but then they have an unbelievable bond once she can see mum's trying to make a better life. There is a group of people who are like protesters, who think that these people need a better life. Why are there not people in California not paying them so they can, you know, build a better life for themselves? And she meets Jack, who's like the leader of this group, and she falls in love with him. But unfortunately Elsa, she does get killed in one of these protests. She gets shot, and her dying wish is for Jack to take them back to the farm. And by this time the Dust Bowls have settled right down, and they're able to, the mother and father-in-law are able to, you know, grow crops again, because things are getting better, because the government are actually helping them now to rebuild up the farm and the growing of the crops. I really like this. It's a 5-star. This is probably my favourite Kristin Hannah book that I have read so far. I've read The Nightingale and just very recently last week Homefront, so there'd be ones I could talk about again in the future. But yeah, the America's Great Depression and the 1930s and the Dust Bowl, I learned a lot from this, and I even googled it just to see what the pictures were like and what the atmosphere was like, and it was really amazing. So Christine Hanna, this is my most favourite Christine Hanna book at the moment by far. So if you're interested, let me know if you've read this book already, or you know, if it's something that sounds interesting to you, let me know below. And also you can let me know what your favourite historical fiction book is as well. And maybe if it's something I haven't heard of, I might, you know, I'll give it a go and read it, because I'm a bit of a history buff. So yeah, I hope you like my video. They're only going to be about 5 minutes, nothing more, just a quick summary of what the book is and what my rating was. So yeah, I'll see you again next Sunday for a historical fiction Sunday, but I'll also see you Friday for a Fantasy Friday, for my next part of Fantasy Friday. Have a good Easter, because today is Easter Sunday. Hope you eating lots of chocolate, whatnot. You know, the calories don't count on Easter, just like Christmas. So have a good day, the sun is shining, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.